a position similar to the B-29 in many later bombers and transports. 77J transition to USAF. Production of the B-29 was phased out after World War II, with the last example completed by Boeing's Renton factory on the 28th of May, 1946. Many aircraft went into storage, being declared excess inventory, and were ultimately scrapped as surplus. Others remained in the active inventory and equipped the Strategic Air Command when it formed on the 21st of March 1946. 79, in particular, the silver plate modified aircraft of the 509th Composite Group remained the only aircraft capable of delivering the atomic bomb, and so the unit was involved in the Operation Crossroads series of tests, with B-29 Dave's Dream dropping a Fat Man type bomb in test Able on the 1st of July 1946. 79, some B-29s, fitted with filtered air sampling scoops, were used to monitor above ground nuclear weapons testing by the US and the USSR by sampling airborne radioactive contamination. The USAF also used the aircraft for long-range weather reconnaissance, WB-29, for signals intelligence gathering, EB-29, and photographic reconnaissance, RB-29. Korean War and post-war service. The B-29 was used in 1950-53 in the Korean War. At first, the bomber was used in normal strategic day bombing missions, although North Korea's few strategic targets and industries were quickly destroyed. More importantly, in 1950 numbers of Soviet MiG-15 jet fighters appeared over Korea, and after the loss of 28 aircraft, future B-29 raids were restricted to night missions, largely in a supply interdiction role. The B-29 dropped the 1,000 pound VB-3 Raisin, a range-controllable version of the earlier Raisin guided ordnance device, 81, and the 12,000 pound VB-13 Tarsen McCloss radio-controlled bombs, 82, in Korea mostly for demolishing major bridges, like the ones across the Yalu River, and for attacks on dams. The aircraft also was used for numerous leaflet drops in North Korea, such as those for Operation Moolah. 83, a Superfortress of the 91st Strategic Reconnaissance Squadron flew the last B-29 mission of the war on 27 July 1953. Photo reconnaissance B-29 that crashed on final approach to Iruma Air Base, Japan, after an attack by Several MiG-15s over the Yalu River. 5 crew died. The tail gunner shot down a MiG, and the remaining MiGs were engaged by their P-51 escort. 9 November 1950. 80, a 307th Bomb Group B-29 bombing a target in Korea. See 1951. Over the course of the war, B-29s flew 20,000 sorties and dropped 200,000 tons, 180,000 tons, of bombs. B-29 gunners were recredited with shooting down 27 enemy aircraft. 84, in turn 78 B-29s were lost. 57 B-29 and reconnaissance variants were lost in action and 21 were non-combat losses. 85. Soviet records show that one MiG-15 jet fighter was shot down by a B-29 during the war. This occurred on the 6th of December, 1950, when a B-29 shot down Lieutenant N. Surkov. 86. With the arrival of the Mammoth Convair B-36, the B-29 was reclassified as a medium bomber by the Air Force. The later B-50 Superfortress variant, initially designated B-29D, was able to handle auxiliary roles such as air-sea rescue, electronic intelligence gathering, air-to-air refueling, and weather reconnaissance. The B-50D was replaced in its primary role during the early 1950s by the Boeing B-47 Stratojet, which in turn was replaced by the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress. The final active duty KB-50 and WB-50 variants were phased out in the mid-1960s, with the final example retired in 1965. A total of 3,970 B-29s were built. Variants. Bell X-1 and its B-29 mothership. The variants of the B-29 were outwardly similar in appearance. Few were built around different wing center sections that affected few wingspan dimensions. The wing of the Renton-built B-29 being used a different sub-assembly process and was a foot longer in span. The Georgia-built B-29 BBA weighed less through armament ejection. A planned C-series with more reliable R3350S was not built. Moreover, engine packages changed, including the type of propellers and range of the variable pitch. A notable example was eventual 65 airframes, up to 1947 end, for the Silver Plate and successor name Skulltree specifications built for the Manhattan Project with Curtiss electric reversible pitch propellers. The other differences came through added equipment for varied mission roles. These roles included cargo carriers, CB, rescue aircraft, SB, weather ships, WB, and trainers, TB, and aerial tankers, KB. Some were used for odd purposes such as flying relay television transmitters under the name of Stratovision. The B-29D led progressively to the XB-44 and the family of B-50 Superfortress, which was powered by for 3,500 HP, 2,600 kilowatts, Pratt & Whitney R4360-35 Wasp major engines. Another role was as a mothership. This included being rigged for carrying the experimental Parasite fighter aircraft, such as the McDonnell X-F-85 Goblin and Republic F-84 Thunderjets as in-flight lock-on and offs. It was also used to develop the Airborne Early Warning Program. It was the ancestor of various modern WB-29 of the 53D Weather Reconnaissance Squadron in 1954, showing the fuselage top observation station radar picket aircraft. A B-29 with the original Wright duplex Cyclone power plants was used to air-launch the Bell X-1 supersonic research rocket aircraft, as well as Cherokee rockets for testing of ejection seats. 87. Some B-29s were modified to act as testbeds for various new systems for special conditions, including fire control systems, cold weather operations, and various armament configurations. Several converted B-29s were used to experiment with aerial refueling and designated as KB-29s. Perhaps the most important tests were conducted by the XB-29G. It carried prototype jet engines in its bomb bay, and lowered them into the airstream to conduct measurements. Operators. Australian Air Force, 2 former RAF aircraft for trials. United Kingdom Royal Air Force, 87 loaned from the USAF as the Washington B.1. United States Army Air Forces. United States Air Force. United States Navy, 4 former USAF aircraft designated as P-2B patrol bombers. Soviet Union Soviet Air Forces, 3 USAF B-29s made emergency landings in the USSR during World War II and were never returned. They were reverse engineered to make the Soviet Tupolev Tu-4 Bull bomber. Surviving aircraft. The 2 remaining flyable B-29s Fifi, top, and dock, bottom, 22 B-29s are preserved at various museums worldwide, including 2 flying examples, Fifi, which belongs to the Commemorative Air Force, and Doc, which belongs to Doc S. Friends. Doc made its first flight in 60 years from Wichita, Kansas on the 17th of July 2016. 88. There are also 4 complete airframes either in storage or under restoration, 8 partial airframes in storage or under restoration, and 4 known wreck sites. 3 of the silver plate B-29s modified to drop nuclear bombs survive. The Enola Gay, nose number 82, which dropped the first atomic bomb, was fully restored and placed on display at the Smithsonian's Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center of the National Air and Space Museum near Washington Dulles International Airport in 2003. The B-29 that dropped Fat Man on Nagasaki, Boxcar, nose number 77, is restored and on display at the National Museum of the United States Air Force at Wright-Patterson AFB in Dayton, Ohio. The third is the 15th silver plate to be delivered, on the last day of the war in the Pacific. It is on display at the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History in Albuquerque, New Mexico, posed with a replica of the Mark III Fat Man nuclear bomb. B-29 its Hawk Wild at the Imperial War Museum, Duxford. Only 2 of the 22 museum aircraft are outside the United States. Its Hawk Wild at the Imperial War Museum, Duxford, and another at the Kai Aerospace Museum in Sachon, South Korea. 89. Accidents and Incidents. Memorial at the Alaska Veterans Memorial to the victims in a B-29 crash in the Talkeetna Mountains in 1957. Accidents and incidents involving B-29s include the Friday evening of the 10th of November, 1944 crash of a B-29 near Clovis, New Mexico. All 15 members of the crew were killed. The 12th of June, 1946, a B-29 crashed into Clingman's Dome in Tennessee, killing the entire crew of 12.90. The 1947 crash of the Key Bird in Greenland during a flight to the geographic North Pole, 91, and its subsequent destruction in 1995 during a recovery attempt. 92. The 1948 Waycross B-29 crash, which resulted in the United States v. Reynolds lawsuit regarding state secrets privilege. The 1948 Lake Mead Boeing B-29 crash. The 3rd of November, 1948 crash at Bleaklownlaw near Glossop, Derbyshire, England. All 13 crew on board were killed. Much of the wreckage is still exposed and can be reached by a 2-mile walk from the summit of Snake Pass, starting along the Penningway footpath. Rough Devil's Dyke. 93. On the 11th of April, 1950, a B-29 departed Kirtland Air Force Base at 9:38 p.m. and crashed into a mountain on Manzano Base approximately 3 minutes later, killing the crew. Detonators were installed in the nuclear bomb on the aircraft. The bomb case was demolished and some high explosive, the material burned in the gasoline fire. Other pieces of unburned HL scattered throughout the wreckage. 4 spare detonators in their carrying case were recovered undamaged. There were no contamination or recovery problems. The recovered components were returned to the Atomic Energy Commission. 94. Both the weapon and the capsule of nuclear material were on board the aircraft, but the capsule was not inserted in the bomb for safety reasons, so a nuclear detonation was not possible. 95. On the 5th of August, 1950, a bomb-laden B-29 Superfortress crashed into a residential area in California. 17 were killed and 68 injured. 96. The 1953 Tiptoe crash, Peconic Bay, New York State. 97. Specifications. Data from Quest for Performance. 98. General characteristics. Flight engineers station of boxcar cockpit in FIFI Boeing B-29 Superfortress 3 view drawing crew. 11. Pilot, co-pilot, bombardier, flight engineer, navigator, radio operator, radar observer, right gunner, left gunner, central fire control, tail gunner. Length, 99 feet 0 in, 30.18 m. Wingspan, 141 feet 3 in, 43.05 m. Height, 27 feet 9 in, 8.46 m. Wing area, 1,736 square feet, 161.3 square meters. Aspect ratio, 11.5. Airfoil, root, Boeing 117, 22%, tip, Boeing 117, 9%, 99. Zero lift drag coefficient, 0.0241. Frontal area, 41.16 square feet, 3.824 square meters. Empty